Okay, thank you so much for being here. And thank you to Janique Vanderstocken, who is our speaker. And you can see her on the video window as well. But this is Janique. We're talking today about comprehensible language teaching without having a common language with your students. Janique is really an expert teacher. I'll introduce her shortly, but a couple of just announcements. We are recording and we'll share this on YouTube after the event. I'll share that link in the same places that I advertised for this. So if you have colleagues or someone else you want to share this video with, that will be available to them. And I'll also share a PDF copy of my slides that you see behind me here in a link within that video share location. So in the information window on YouTube, I will do that. And let me go to my next slide. So our agenda today, in about an hour to an hour and a half, we'll see how much time we need. I'll introduce Janique, our teacher today, set up for students and observer roles during her lesson. We'll have Janique's Dutch lesson, and then we'll do a debriefing. We'll be looking for things that Janique does during the lesson and how the students respond in facilitating their comprehension of a new language, how she builds community with the students together, and what communicative purposes she has in the lesson. These could be things like getting to know each other, getting to know about the world, imagining something and creating something together through the language. So I will describe that in a little bit more detail, but there's our goals for today. And just to introduce myself, I'm Dr. Diane Neubauer, or Du Yanzi. This is my Chinese name. Feel free to contact me if you have questions. I am hosting this because I know Janique is such an outstanding teacher, and because I have been learning more and more about addressing the needs of multiple language backgrounds of students within the same class where the teacher knows none of the students' home languages, maybe at all, and may not even have a translation tool that will work for their language or their dialect of a standard language. And so I teach in the teacher education department at the University of Louisville. And my role there is on multilingual education. So this is right on the same topic where teachers need to be ready to help students from all language backgrounds really be engaged and understand a new language and develop proficiency in that language. So I'm super excited that Janique was available and that we could do this for free. So to introduce Janique a little bit, she has a YouTube channel. Her full name, Janique Vanderstocken, and then is TLLFT.
CLLFT, Comprehensible
C
Language Learning for Teachers.
Thank you so much, Janique. And she was also recently interviewed on Liam Printer's podcast, The Motivated Classroom, on trauma-informed teaching. And so that's very well worth a listen as well. She also has a website, which is, again, that abbreviation. Would you say that one more time, Janique?
Comprehensible Language Learning for Teachers.
So CLLFT.com.
Yes.
Yeah, so you can find her there. She also often presents at language teaching conferences in Europe. I think I've seen you on, well, I know I've gotten to see Janique teach at the Agen workshop in southern France. I think you've also been to a conference in Germany and besides that
3
too?
times. This will be the 4th time.
And in the
I will
Netherlands
also
as well?
go to Huesca this, next summer. And I went to Eindhoven too.
Yeah, so if you enjoy getting to learn with Janique today, she is available at other places to continue to learn from her. Her day job is teaching Dutch as a second language to adult learners, many of whom have had interrupted formal education, many of whom may not be literate in their own languages. And so she has a very special set of circumstances to work with her students. I think Janique also, many of them are from a refugee background and recently resettled. Is that right? Yeah.
Yes.
Is there anything else you want us to know about your teaching context?
Well, the last years I'm teaching people who are not completely illiterate. I have done that for many, many, many years, but I wanted to do something else. So the students that I have now did not go to school for a long time, only primary school at maximum, but they can read and write a little bit, and that's a world of difference. It's such a difference because they are used to books, they are used to written language, even if it's only a little bit. It's completely different than illiterate people. Most of my students now are very, very young, men from Eritrea, Somalia, Afghanistan, and Palestine.
Mhm.
So I have a group of 19 students now, and 7 of them are women, and the rest are all very, very young men who could be,
Mhm.
well, they are younger than my children. So, as one of them said, I last year at my birthday, he was looking at me, was he was already adult, and he said to me, "Oh, wow, teacher, you are 10 years older than my grandma." I had to swallow then.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So
What will be
adults,
the
but
next level?
maybe
Yeah.
generation gaps.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I'm teaching for 40 years. I started in 1985. So it's normal that my students become younger.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's the next thing I was going to ask. Did you want to tell us how long you've been teaching? So
Yeah.
she has many years of experience. So we're very lucky to get to learn with her.
And I'm
Um,
lucky to be here. Thank you very much for your invitation.
oh, for sure. For
Yeah.
sure.
It's great to be here and to see a lot of people that I have met already.
Yeah, I recognize
Thanks for
people too.
being
Thanks
here.
for being here.
And yes, me too. I love to see you, all of you. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, so let me get us set up with some students for her lesson, and then the rest of us will be observers, including me. At the time that Unique begins, I'll turn my camera off and be an observer. So we need about 9 people. Unique said that that was a good number so she can see people's video window. Our goal here is not teaching online per se, it's really the techniques of working with students who don't share a language with their teacher. And so we're going to accommodate her. So we'll need about 9 people to volunteer to be students. So if you would like to be a student, I see some of you are putting your hands up. That's what I was going to ask you to do. At the very bottom of all the screens, if you see the words raise hand, and then you can put your hand up, or you can lower it again. And so we'll need a maximum of 9. Um, and then the rest, just because some people came in since I announced this before the recording started, if you would like to adjust your settings on Zoom so that you can see more effectively, if you choose up at the very top right side, at least for me, right side. Okay. The it says view, at least in English, and there's a grid. If you click that and choose gallery view, that may be helpful during the language lesson to see both the students and the teacher, because really what you're going to want to see about the students is what is Unique using to pick up how she should pace herself, how she's getting responses from students. So you'll want to see the students on camera as well. That's why we're asking for them to be on camera. So if you are interested in being a student, and thank you for those who are volunteering, please keep your camera on and your microphone muted. So when we're talking, you might be showing on screen some of your response, but not necessarily on voice. The others of us will be observers. And let's see. Oh, one thing, I think we changed this, didn't we? We were going to say that students could use the chat during the lesson, but we're going to turn off the chat. Just it was distracting. It pops up messages and
Mm.
can be awkward. So we're going to have nobody use the chat during the lesson itself. Let me find my next slide. And so for observers, the rest of us will be observers. We'll have our cameras off and our mics muted during the lesson, free to come back on camera afterwards. And in our debriefing and our Q&A, we were able to take microphone or chat responses as we talk about that. During the lesson, I will turn off the chat, but don't expect to be able to use it. It's wonderful if you notice things and want to take some notes about what you see, but please don't enter that into the chat until after when we're in the debrief. So, okay. And then just to let you know what we'll be doing in the debriefing, we'll be focusing, as I mentioned earlier, on 3 aspects of what Janique does with her students. One will be language comprehension. What kinds of specific techniques and moves does she make to help the students understand Dutch? And what is their response? How does she read their comprehension and use that information as she's teaching? And then we'll be looking for ways that she's developing a sense of community and involvement and comfort and feeling involved and connected in the lesson. And then our final area to really think through is what communicative purpose or purposes is she using the language with her students, even when they're very, very limited and are very new to the language that they're learning. So, Janique, did I miss anything? Are we ready? I think.
Yes, so if the observers put their camera down and no chat, I think that's it.
Yes, so I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 students. And then we'll ask everyone else to turn off your camera. So if you have your hand up now, I'm treating you as a student, so you can take your hand down. And oh, I see we have 9, so we can go with 9. That's our max.
That's okay, that's okay.
Okay, so I will go ahead and turn my camera off and turn it over to Janique.
Okay, thank you very much. So first of all, I installed my whiteboard because in COVID, I also have been teaching with my whiteboard, but Zoom has changed something and now you don't see things very clear anymore. If I show you this picture, I don't think you see it very clear. No. So I have been looking to find other solutions this afternoon. I hope it will work and I will share my PowerPoint and sit in my PowerPoint. From now on, I will speak Dutch, and if you talk to me, even if you talk to me in English, I won't understand you, okay? Goedenavond hier in België. Het is nu 6 uur in België. Goedenavond, hallo.
Hallo.
Okay.
Hallo.
Hallo. Is hier. Kunnen jullie dat goed zien? Iedereen ziet dat goed? Just a minute, I try to see more people. I hope I can see more people because now I don't see a lot of people. Just a minute, I have to find a way to do this. Oké, ik zie nu 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh ja, ik zie jullie allemaal. Super. Goed. Klas. Dit is Nina. Nina. Dit, tadam, is Nina. Ik ben Janique. Dit is Nina. Oké? Nina is een vrouw. Nina is een vrouw. Nina is geen man. Nina is geen man. Zij is een vrouw. Oké? Ik ben een vrouw. Nina is een vrouw. Klas. Dat is het symbool voor is Nina een man of een vrouw?
Een vrouw.
Een vrouw, super! Wauw, applaus! Applaus! Goed gedaan. Nina is een vrouw. Is Nina een jongen? Een jongen? Ja of nee?
Niet.
Nee, Nina is geen jongen. Nina is een vrouw. Is Nina een meisje? Ja of nee?
Nee.
Is Nina? Nee, goed, super. Nina is geen meisje. Een meisje is klein. Nina is mama. Nina is een vrouw. Goed. Klas, Nina is een vrouw en Nina heeft een baby. Zie je dat hier? De baby. De baby van Nina. Ja? Michel, heeft Nina een baby of heb jij een baby?
Heeft Nina.
Nina, Nina heeft een baby. Nina heeft een baby. Okay. I have put this now aside because I want to write, and that's the only way I can do it. So I hope you don't mind to do it. Nina is een vrouw. Nina is een vrouw. Nina is een vrouw. Kunnen jullie dat zien? Ja? Oké.
Ja.
Nina is een vrouw. De vrouw. De man. Is Nina een man of een vrouw?
Vrouw.
Een vrouw, goed. Nina is een vrouw, goed. En Nina heeft een baby. Nina heeft een baby. Klas, de baby is een jongen. De baby is een jongen. De baby heet Leon. Ik, Janique. De vrouw heet Nina. De baby heet Leon. Oké? Hoe heet... oh, I cannot highlight people, that's a pity. Okay, I will do it otherwise. Goed. Ik heet Janique. Ik heet, beetje mooi schrijven, dat is niet mooi, heet, ik heet Janique. Hoe heet de baby?
Leon.
Leon, goed. De baby heet Leon. Heet de vrouw, heet die vrouw Janique?
Nee.
Hoe Hoe heet de vrouw?
Nina.
Nina.
Nina, goed. Zij heet Nina. Ik heet Janiek. Zij heet
Nina.
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 Hoe heet jij?
Janique.
Yannick.
Jij.
Oh,
Michel.
Hey, goed. Ik heet Janiek, maar zij heet, zij, de vrouw, zij heet Nina.
Let's see what you're writing, Yannick, just so you know.
Yeah. Do you want me
You can
to
see it.
pin your, I could spotlight your camera view,
Yes.
but we
Oh.
don't, where you're sharing your background, we can't see where you're
Oh.
writing.
Or
Ah,
if
You
it-
can
if the pro-
click
if the
on
pro-
meeting at the top of the screen and switch back
Yes,
and forth
now?
between the screen and
There,
meeting.
yes, now we do,
Yay.
we do,
or,
yeah.
or the participant, if the participant like a pin you, then I can see both.
Yeah, I see
Each
both.
participant pin, yeah.
Yeah,
If the
I can
each
try
participant,
also spotlighting Yannick's
Yes.
video. Let's see if it, but then I don't see the students anymore.
Aha.
Is that the case? I want to see both, so I think I'm going to take the spotlight out. But if you, in the upper right corner of Yannick's video window, that little box with 3 dots, I think if you choose pin, it still makes Yannick big and I don't see the students, but that is one option.
Yes.
But
So,
you choose multi-speaker and I see Anik and students and both screens.
oh, wonderful. So you said
Yeah. Multi-speaker
multi-speaker. Is that in the view options?
in the view
I
option.
see it now. Oh, that's great.
yeah.
So this is at the very top of all the screens, side by side, multi-speaker. Oh, thank you so much, Ivana. That was great.
I think I have to stop sharing to do that, but you can see what I write. Okay? Goed.
Ja.
Ik heet Janiek. Zij heet Nina. Hoe heet de baby?
Leon.
Leon.
Leon. Is Leon een jongen? Sorry. Is Leon een jongen of een meisje?
Jongen.
Een jongen, goed. Leon is een jongen. Leon is geen meisje. Leon is een jongen. Hij is een jongen. De jongen. De jongen. Ik ga even dit schrijven. De jongen. Leon is een jongen. Kan je dat zien? Ja. Hij is geen meisje. Het meisje. Ik heet Janiek. De vrouw heet Nina. Zij heet Nina. De baby is een jongen. Hij heet Leon. Oké? Ja? Ik, hij, zij, hij. Ja? Oké, super. Ha. Goed. De vrouw Nina kijkt naar de baby. Zij kijkt naar de baby. Nina kijkt naar de baby. Ja? Kijk ik naar de baby? Nee. Kijkt Michel naar de baby? Nee. Kijkt Cecile naar de baby? Nee. Nina kijkt naar de baby. En Nina lacht. Nina lacht. Nina lacht naar de baby. Zij lacht naar de baby. Kijkt de baby naar Nina?
Mm. Hm?
De baby slaapt. De baby slaapt. De baby slaapt. Slaapt Kari? Nee, Kari slaapt niet. Liang? Is het Liang of is het Liang Mei? Wat is jouw naam? Hoe heet jij? Ik heet Janique. Hoe heet jij?
Liang Mei.
Liang Mei, sorry. Liang Mei, slaapt de baby of slaap jij?
Baby.
De baby, goed zo. De baby slaapt. Nina kijkt naar de baby. Nina kijkt naar de baby en ze lacht naar de baby. Oh, de baby. Ze lacht naar de baby. Nina is blij. Blij. Blij? Blij. Ah, sorry. Blij. Nee, hier. Blij. Ik ben blij, blij om jullie te zien. Ik ben niet boos om jullie te zien. Ik ben niet boos vandaag. Ik ben blij. Oké? Ja? Eventjes dit hier weg. Kan het zien, hè? Goed. Kan je dat zien? Ja. Oké. Blij. Blij. Ik ben blij. Ja? Boos. Boos. Ik ben boos. Boos. Triestig. Ik ben triestig. Triestig. Mijn hart is triestig. Ik ben bang. Bang. Ja? Oké? Blij. Boos. Triestig. Bang. Oké. Toon het mij. Toon met jouw gezicht. Allemaal. Toon mij bang. Bang, wat is bang? Goed zo, goed zo. Bang. Toon mij triestig. Toon mij blij. Goed. Toon mij boos. 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 Ja, goed zo. Oké. Klas. Ik ga eerst terug eventjes dit hier doen. Is Nina boos?
Nee.
Nee. Is Nina bang van de baby? Nee. Is Nina triestig?
Nee.
Nee. Is Nina blij? Ja,
Ja.
Nina is blij. Zij lacht naar de baby. Ja? Lacht de baby?
Nee.
Nee. Wat doet de baby? Wat doet de baby?
Slaapt.
Baby slaapt. Klas, ik heb een assistent nodig. Ik heb een assistent nodig. Ik doe eventjes dit hier weg. Ik heb een assistent nodig. Wacht, hè. Ik heb een assistent nodig. Ik heb nodig. Ik heb nodig. Ik heb een bril nodig om te lezen. Mijn ogen zijn slecht, niet goed. Ik heb een bril nodig. Ik heb nodig. Ja? Ik heb een glas nodig om te drinken. Ik heb nodig om te drinken. Ik heb een stift nodig om te schrijven. Ik heb nodig. Ja? Michel? Nee? Nee. Ik heb nodig, oké? Wacht, ik ga eventjes dit hier groter doen. Ik heb nodig. Nodig, nee. Ik heb nodig. Michel, mijn ogen zijn niet goed. Mijn ogen zijn slecht. Ik zie niet goed. Ik heb een bril nodig. Ik heb een bril nodig. Ja? Ik wil schrijven. Schrijven. Mijn vinger is niet goed. Ik heb een stift nodig. Kijk, Michel. Een stift is goed. Ik heb een stift nodig om te schrijven. Ik heb een bril nodig om te kijken. Ik heb een beker nodig om te drinken. Ja? Oké? Allemaal? Ja? Ik heb een assistent nodig. Wie is mijn assistent? Alsjeblieft, alsjeblieft, alsjeblieft. Sanai, dankjewel, dankjewel. Dankjewel, Sanai. Sanai, jij bent mijn assistent voor wie? Wie? Eventjes kijken, naast elkaar. Jij bent mijn assistent voor wie? Oké? Wie? Dit is niet goed. Wie? Ja? Sanai, als ik zeg wie, dan roep jij, wie. Oké?
Wie.
Goed zo. Goed zo, oké. En dan zegt de klas zegt ik, jij, hij of zij. Hij voor een man, zij voor een vrouw, oké? Wie?
Wie.
Ik, jij, hij of zij. Oké. Deze hier groter zetten. Oké. Ja. Wie?
Wie.
Klas.
Ik.
Ik, jij,
Jij.
hij
Hij.
of zij. Wie slaapt er? Wie slaapt?
Hij. Hij.
Wie, hij.
Baby.
Baby.
Baby, goed. De baby slaapt. Goed, de baby slaapt. Wie?
Wie.
Ik.
Ik.
Jij.
Jij.
Hij.
Hij. Of zij.
zij. Wie lacht er naar de baby?
Nina.
Nina.
Nina, goed zo, super. Wie?
Wie.
Ik. Jij.
Hij of zij. Wie heeft een bril?
Jij.
Janiek.
Ja, goed, ik
Ja.
heb een bril nodig. Super. En Monique heeft ook een bril nodig. En Michel heeft ook een bril nodig. En Liang Mei heeft ook een bril nodig. En Cecile heeft ook een bril nodig. Klas, kijk naar Lia. Heeft Lia een bril nodig? Ja of nee?
Nee.
Nee.
Lia heeft geen bril. Lia heeft goede ogen. Oké, Lia? Ja, oké, goed. Ik heb een assistent voor wie? Ik heb nog een assistent nodig. Nog een assistent. Ivana, super, dankjewel. Ik ga eerst even drinken. Ivana, als ik zeg, wat doet, dan zeg jij, wat doet hij, wat doet zij? Wat doet hij, wat doet zij?
Goed.
Goed?
Goed.
Super. Wat doet Ivana?
Wat doet
Hij?
hij? Wat doet zij?
Oké. En de klas zegt eten, drinken, slapen, werken. Werken. Ja? Oké, goed. Wie?
Wie.
Goed.
Ik.
Jij.
Hij.
Hij.
Of
Zij.
zij.
Goed. Wie is mijn assistent voor wie?
Sanai.
Goed. Klas, wat doet, wat doet,
Wat doet hij? Wat doet zij?
klas,
Eten.
Eten, drinken,
slapen,
slapen,
werken.
werken.
Wat doet Nina?
Werken.
Kijkt goed. Nina kijkt. Nina kijkt. Kijkt Nina naar Monique?
Nee. Nee.
Sorry Monique. Nina kijkt niet naar jou. Kijkt Nina naar Cecile?
Nee.
Sorry Cecile. Nina kijkt niet naar jou. Kijkt Nina naar Kari?
Nee.
Nee.
Nee. Sorry Kari. Nina kijkt niet naar jou. Naar wie?
Wie.
Ik.
Jij.
Of zij.
Hij of
Naar
zij.
wie kijkt Nina?
The baby.
De baby. Wauw, super. Jullie zijn een superklas. Goed, Nina kijkt naar de baby. En wat doet?
Wat doet hij? Wat doet zij?
Eten.
Eten, drinken,
Drinken.
slapen,
Slapen. Werken.
werken.
Wat doet Leon?
Slapen.
Slapen.
Slaapt.
Goed zo. Leon slaapt. Super. Leon slaapt. Wie?
Wie.
Goed zo. Ik.
Ik.
Jij.
Hij of zij.
Hij.
Wie is Leon?
De baby.
Baby.
Leon is de baby. Super. Leon is de baby. Nina is de mama en Leon is de baby.
Blauw.
Nina kijkt naar Leon. Nina lacht naar Leon. Leon slaapt. Is Nina boos?
Nee.
Nee.
Nina blij?
Ja.
Nina is blij. Goed. Oké, we gaan verder. Nina heeft een baby, maar Nina heeft ook een hond. Nina heeft een hond. Oef, een hond. Heeft Nina een kleine hond?
Nee.
Nee.
Een grote hond. Nina heeft een grote hond. Lia, heeft Nina een kat? Een kat of een hond?
Een hond.
Een hond, goed zo. Heeft Nina een vis? Een vis, Ivana? Ja of nee?
Nee.
Nee, Nina heeft een hond. Wie? Sanai.
Oh, wie.
Wie. Geen probleem. Ik. Jij. Hij.
Of zij.
Goed. Wie heeft een hond?
Nina.
Nina. Oké, Nina heeft een hond. Lia, heb jij ook een hond?
Nee.
Nee, je hebt geen hond. Michelle, heb jij een hond?
Ja.
Jij hebt een hond, goed. Michelle, de hond van Nina heet Abbas. Ik heet Janique. De vrouw,
Abbas.
heet Nina. De baby heet Leon. De hond heet Abbas. Hoe heet jij?
Michelle.
Wauw, super. Applaus. Hoe heet jouw hond?
Bullet.
Bollet. Bollet, oké. Erin, heb jij een hond? Nee. Ivana, heb jij een hond?
Nee.
Nee. Monique, heb jij een hond?
Ja.
Jij hebt een hond, oké. En hoe heet jouw hond?
Benji.
Benji. Oké. Benji. Mooie naam. Oké. Monique, hoe heet de hond van Michel? Klas, hoe heet de hond van
Abbas.
Abbas.
Nee. Monique, Abbas is de hond van Nina.
Ina. Ah.
Weet je? Ja.
Ja.
Abbas is de hond van Nina.
Mm.
Ja. Bullet
Bullet.
Bullet is de hond van Michelle.
Michelle.
En Benji is jouw hond. Oké? Monique, hoe heet de hond van Michelle?
Bullet.
Allet, goed zo. Super. Kari, heb jij een hond? Ook niet. Oh, zo jammer. Oh, klas, allemaal. Oh, zo jammer. Oh, zo jammer. Liangmei, heb jij een hond? Ook niet. Klas. Oh, jammer. Klas, heeft Lia een hond? Ja?
Nee.
Nee. Klas?
Nee.
Oh, Lia.
Oh.
Erin ook niet. En
Oh,
Ivana. Oh, Liangmei heeft een kat. Liangmei heeft een kat. Liangmei, hoe heet jouw kat? Hoe heet jouw kat? Heet jouw kat Abbas? Ja of nee? Nee. Heet jouw kat Benji? Nee. Heet jouw kat Bullet? Nee. Hoe heet jouw kat?
Zaki.
Hoe?
Zaki.
Zaki. Zaki. En is Zaki een hond?
Nee.
Nee, Zaki is een kat. Zaki is een kat. Sanai, heb jij een hond? Ja. En hoe heet jouw hond?
Jackson.
Jackson, oké. Heb jij ook een kat?
Ja.
Je hebt ook een kat. Je hebt een hond en een kat. Oké, je hebt een hond en een kat. Hoe heet jouw kat?
Kitty.
Iri.
Kitty. Kitty.
Iri. Oké, goed. Cecile, heet de kat van Sanai, heet de kat van Sanai Jackson of Kiri?
Kitty.
Kiri, oké. Cecile, heb jij een hond?
Ja.
Ja. En hoe heet jouw hond?
Penny.
Penny. En heb jij ook een kat? Twee katten.
Twee katten.
Twee katten. Hoe heten jouw katten?
Mr. Moon
Mr. Moon
Ginger.
en Ginger. Oké. Klas, ik heb geen hond. Jammer.
Jammer.
Jammer. Oh. Wacht. Tutututum. Jammer. Jammer.
Yannick, do you want to go about 5 more minutes?
Ja.
Okay.
Jammer. Oh, jammer. Klas. Klas. Ik heb geen kat.
Jammer.
Jammer.
Jammer. Heeft Nina een kat?
Nee,
Nee.
Nina heeft
een hond.
een hond. Goed zo. Nina heeft een hond. Kijkt Nina naar de hond?
Nee.
Nee. Klas.
Baby.
Nina kijkt niet naar de hond. Lacht Nina naar
Ja.
de hond?
Nee.
Nee.
Nee, klas. Nina lacht niet naar de hond. Kijkt de hond naar Nina?
Ja.
Ja.
De hond kijkt naar Nina. Lacht de hond naar Nina?
Nee.
De
Tristan.
hond, klas. De hond is triestig.
Tristan.
Liefde.
Triestig. Wat is triestig? Wat is dat?
Sad. Sad.
De hond is triestig. Oh, jammer.
Jammer.
Jammer. Oh, de hond is triestig. En, klas, de hond is jaloers. De hond is jaloers.
Oh, jaloers.
Is de hond jaloers op mij?
Nee.
Is de hond jaloers op Michel?
Nee.
Is de hond jaloers op Mr. Moon?
Nee.
Nee. Wie?
Wie.
Ik. Jij.
Nee.
Jij.
Nee. Oh,
Zij.
nee.
Wie is Mr. Moon?
Cecile.
Hond van Cecile.
Goed zo. De kat van
One.
Cecile. De kat van Cecile. Mr. Moon is de kat van Cecile. Nina heeft geen kat. Nina heeft een hond. Nina heeft een triestige hond. Nina heeft een jaloerse hond. De hond is jaloers op de baby. Die baby moet weg. Ja, de hond is jaloers. Goed. So now, Diana, is it okay if I just tell them how I would continue?
Yeah, if you feel like you're at a good pause, yes, that would be fine.
So what I would do now is I would give them sentences. I don't know if yes, I have it here. This is what I give to my students. Can you see it? Maybe you should wait.
If you place
Can
it
see
right in
like
front of
this?
you, yes, there we can
Yes.
see it.
Well, it's the same as you see here.
Okay.
They have to cut it, and then I say a sentence, and they have to tell me what sentence they recognize. And if you, I don't know if you can see it, but here I also have de hond kijkt. Do you see this T, the letter T? Because
Yeah.
even if they are if they are illiterate, not literate, then they can. I can say, oh, the T is like I will take a person whose name starts with a T, and that's the first letter I always teach them because it's an important letter. And then I say, oh, de hond kijkt, klas. Do you hear T? They have to see that there is a T, because afterwards, when they learn how to write, then they have to write this T. But also for my group that I'm doing now, it's kind of grammar. I never teach them grammar because they don't know what grammar is, not even in their own language. If I would say in their own language that they have to conjugate a verb, the chances are, well, there are a lot of chances that they don't understand the word conjugate in their own language, that they don't know what a verb is in their own language. So if I would tell these things, they would not know what I'm speaking of. So that's why I say, look, you have a T. Ik kijk, you don't hear it, you don't have to put it. So then I say, for instance, de vrouw slaapt niet, and they have to show me sentence number 8. De vrouw slaapt niet. Is it big enough? Do you see it? Yes, can you see it? Okay. In the next lesson, they have to write the sentence at how do you say it, the backward side. So it's like flashcards that they make. This is also a very important exercise. It used to be a very important exercise for my illiterate people, because with this exercise, they learn to recognize the words in a sentence, which is very, very, very difficult. Because in Dutch, we tend to put all the words together. And often they don't know how many words they hear in a sentence, where a word starts and where it ends. So this is a very good exercise for them, especially if they cannot read or write. If you saw, oh, de vrouw or the man, you see, oh, M-A-N, you can read. So it's easy to recognize the words. But if you cannot read, or if you have another alphabet, it's difficult to recognize a word in a sentence. And also here for the grammar, for instance, if I say Nina huilt niet. So they have to put Nina huil, and then they have to put the little one with the t, because you have to write a t. All the verbs are in the ik form, in the I form, and when they hear a t, they have to put a t. So that's my way of teaching grammar. And what I saw is that they almost always conjugate the verbs correct. Even if I don't teach grammar, they do it correct. Also, making sentences, they do it quite well because they are used to it. Why should they do it wrong? Because they have to hear it and they have to put the sentence and recognize the sentence. So they always see the correct, they hear and see the correct input. So this is also, I don't know if I can do it I will try. This is something that I always do. I always give a song. Whatever story I do, even if I make a story about them, I always, always, always make a song. So if I have a song, they recognize at this YouTube sign, they recognize it will be a song. And then I ask them, what words will you hear? So can you tell me welke woorden hoor je? What words will you hear, do you think?
Kijkt.
Slaapt.
Slaapt,
Kijkt.
kijkt,
Lacht.
lacht,
Hij. Oh, zij.
hij, zij, ja.
Oui. Oui, oui. Oui, oui, oui.
Wie, misschien.
Echt.
Okay, so we continue and we say what words that they will hear, and then I assign a word to a student, and whenever he or she hears this word, they must show me that they understand it. They must, how do you say it I will let you hear. I hope you can hear it. Do you hear it?
Yes.
The music?
Nina heeft een baby, het is een jongen. De baby heet Leon, hij heet Leon. Nina is blij, ze kijkt naar de baby. Ze lacht naar de baby, ze lacht naar Leon.
You should be able to understand.
De baby lacht niet, nee, de baby lacht niet. De baby slaapt, hij slaapt. Nina is blij, ze kijkt naar de baby. Ze lacht naar de baby, ze lacht naar Leon.
Okay, I will stop it because it will take too long, but you understand what I mean. So what I do, I make it with ChatGPT. I write my text and I say to ChatGPT, make me a song that contains only the words in this text. It cannot contain any other word. And then I put it in the Suno, and I have this song. It goes quite quick. Oops, sorry. I must go to, yes. I also have a website, so my students have work at home. They have to do some things at work at home. I will give the slides to Diana so that she can put them in the PowerPoint too. And then you can go to, this is actually the website. And then you can see what kinds of exercises I give. They also see the stories, the story of the picture, where they can hear Nina is een vrouw, ze heeft een baby, and they see the little words, the meanings of the words are coming on the screen whenever I tell them. Like the baby slaapt, from the moment that I pronounce the word slaap, they will see the little picture of sleeping, so that they can understand and hear again, because they need this repetition so much. So then we do write and discuss, depending of their level, depending of the fact if they can read or write. And I also give a text, and this marker is very important for me. I always give a marker, and I read the text, and they read with me, and they have to mark every single word that they do understand, because I always focus on success. My colleagues always say, underline all the words that you don't understand, but then you focus on not knowing the things. I focus on success. I focus on what they know. And I think that is so important for them, that they see, oh, wow. And for me, it's the same. If I see the words like, I think here, hate, I see that this one is not marked. I know, oh, they don't understand hate. The same as if they would underline it. I have the same information. But for them, it is so different, because then they are so proud. Sometimes they are like, yellow, yellow, all yellow. And I say, yes, 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 it is so important. Okay, I think that's the most important. Something, and I want to do that too here. What I always do for the end is, I thank my students and I want them to give them an applause to themselves. Dus, klas, applaus voor jullie, want jullie waren fantastisch. Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much, Janique. This was really fun to watch unfolding, because from
Yes.
the very beginning there to understanding almost nothing to at the end, where there's this very lively back and forth going
Yes.
on. And thank you for telling us some of the ways that you might proceed in a future lesson, because I know that will be probably something that people will get to in questions and answers. So
Yes.
mhm.
With this picture, I do sometimes 6 hours.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
can do 6
And that,
hours. Yes, 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 because
yeah.
I have to repeat and repeat. Remind you, like also they have to cut the sentences, because that is a moment that they can,
Little
how do
break.
you say it? Breathe, because otherwise it's like input, 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 input. It's too much. And that moment that they can sit and cut and no one is saying something, it's almost always very silent, because they are tired. It's a moment that I let, and I don't say quick, 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 quick. No, I give them the time and I say, oh, you have all the time to cut. I wait until everyone is finished, because they need to have this time. I also do a lot of brain breaks in between. They need it. They really need those things. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll proceed from here with some debriefing, and I'm going to do them one at a time so we can really hone in on specific skills that we saw Janique using, specific things that she was picking up from her students' responses and how she used that to continue.
Can I
Janique, you have something?
take some water?
Oh, yes. And, just thank you to Unique. Let's give her a hand too. We clapped for the students, but let's make sure we do that. So thank you so much, Unique. And yes, let's give Unique that kind of a brain break too. So as we're thinking about what happened in the lesson, what did Unique do to help facilitate the learner's comprehension? And since we still have students mainly on camera, do you want to, if you were a student, if there's something that you want to point out that is appropriate, you can also use the chat again. So I'll read the chat and read aloud from the chat as answers come in there. But you're also welcome to raise your hand virtually like that. And then I'll see you if you want to come on microphone. I see Sanae.
So Yannick uses lots and lots of pictures and point and pause and say clearly. And she's a great actor. So her face expressions also really helps and just reminded me that like, yeah, I have to do that like really overly. Yeah,
Yeah.
lots and lots of techniques I saw. Yeah.
Yeah. So it pictures, pointing to the pictures, pointing again and again to the pictures, and not just boom, but holding the finger there. And then you said also expression on the face. Monique, something else?
Yes, thank you, Unique. That was great. And the repetition, oh, I just craved the repetition. I just needed to hear it. And Unique did that so well, just lots of repetition in different ways and coming back and recycling back. And yeah, it was just, yeah, really powerful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mm.
And Aaron. Oh, Aaron, I don't hear you. I don't think you're muted, but I can't hear your voice. Let's see if we got you. No, sorry. Maybe in the chat. Type in the chat. Leah.
I really appreciated that she took time to like write stuff down. So like she talked about like that brain break. So even though like it wasn't like let's do something quirky and find brain break, I really appreciated like we heard it, but having that other support of like where the words I can make the connections between the words, which was very helpful.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm seeing some things in chat. Carrie noted use of pictures. And one of the things about the pictures was the same person with a different expression. So it wasn't confusing. What part of this should I be focused on? So it's not, oh, is that girl? Is that braided? Is that young woman? Oh, no, because now she's sleeping. Here she's looking. Here she's smiling. Like, so yeah, that's just very subtle little thing about the way you used images. I see May's hand.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, and so I love after the layering of, pointing the pictures and then repetition, she always check for understanding, like a little mini quiz, like who did that? Is it he or the, just kind of go back to the material that she has already established, and then a little mini quiz, and then little call on someone to see, hey, are you understanding? And then they go back and expanding her story. So I appreciate that little quiz, sort of like a very fun quiz established in the middle. So
Yeah, and so I see something noted in Michelle's comment in the chat too, not looking shocked if we didn't get it. There was no sense of concern. It was, oh, okay, let's, eager to fix it in a very positive way. Michelle also noted the class jobs were helping with comprehension as well. I think we'll get there when we get to community too. Ivana.
Yes, I also would like to thank you, Yannick. It was really great. It was so comprehensible. And what I wrote down from my classes, what was really amazing idea was actually you introduced some pieces of grammar through calls and responses, because when you said that we should, name all the personal pronouns, I was like, yes, this was so great. I will definitely use it, because it was so like, yeah, actually, the way you said you don't want to teach any grammar because they don't know. So I think it was really the perfect, yeah, way to teach personal nouns. And yeah,
Yeah.
thanks.
Yeah, and that it helps with the comprehension of the question too. That I've found in teaching Chinese, that the question words are hard to understand. And so there's a way to refer back to, oh, right, these are the kinds of answers to that question. So it's about the people, because by then, when she introduced it, those pronouns had come up a lot. We'd seen a lot of examples. So yeah. I see in the chat there, Cecile noted a lot of yes and no and either or questions, simple short answer questions. There is actually some research on this about comparing open-ended questions like what and who and those kinds of expanded answer questions versus just either or questions. And in developing proficiency, those either or were showing greater results. So I'm not going to get the exact somebody might know and can type it into the chat, but I know it was Karen Lichtman was the second author, and I believe it was 2024. I want to say it's Angela, and I'm forgetting her last name, the first author, but on that. So I know the Slay podcast did a review of that article too. Sometimes I think as teachers, we think, I've got to make them talk more. And it's actually, they were finding that the answers that were those short answer were very effective at helping students develop their proficiency. Like having a longer term goal, I think, is helpful in that too. I see Alicia's note about comprehension, how much she parked. So she stopped and she made sure everyone is on the learning train. I love that. Like, that's a great phrasing for it. Like, okay, we've got one little fact, and now we're going to stay with that, and we're going to compare and see. And yeah, any language that she used, she did not move on quickly, even if what she was saying wasn't necessarily a part of this activity per se. She was making sure everything got in there and really stayed. Erin noted seeing the words was helpful. So yeah, students that are literate are going to be helped by seeing it. And I think sometimes just pointing to the same word on the board, even when they're not necessarily reading it, can be, it's like a mental visual indicator. Seeing vocabulary in different contexts, Cecile noted in the chat, and personalization. So asking about pets. And I was like so excited, like, what is that person's dog named? I'm like, just as an observer, like it felt like there was a change in the room when you start to find out about the people. And so you can use those images you had and the story that you were slowly unfolding with them, but then learning back and forth about the people in the room with you, the students who are there. So, yeah, so go ahead.
I always go to the students when I'm doing whatever story I do, whatever I'm talking. I always, when I see a moment, there's a dog, I always go to their situation. Or someone is eating in a story. Do you like that? Do you do that? So it's a way of getting back their attention, because if you are not used to go to school, it is very, very hard. Our lessons take 3 hours in a row from 9 to 12. So it is very long, and these ways are easy ways to get back their attention. It's sometimes better than a brain break.
Yeah.
They like
Right.
to talk about themselves and to hear things about the
Yeah.
other students.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I note one more on comprehension there. Needing an assistant, then that word needing needed to be clarified. And so she did multiple ways to show what that concept was without translating, like showing the eyeglasses, the water glass, the pen on the board, and checking in until everybody was ready to understand what that was. So everybody was included in that. Before we go too long, I want to move to the next.
And that is also the hardest part of my job, to say all the thing, to make all the things understandable, like what you want to do.
Yeah, the procedural talk in the classroom is often a place where we do use students' first language, especially with beginners. And so making those kinds of procedural talk clear is worth the time. Yeah, yeah.
It's so difficult sometimes, so frustrating.
Mhm. Yeah. The second point for our debriefing is thinking about developing community, and we've already noted some of those things. The student assistant, the student jobs for question words. I noted those were already mentioned. What else did Janique do to help develop a sense of community and involvement? I see Cecile in the chat says getting to know each other, about asking personalized questions and answers about pets. Noting like when May holds up her cat and, and then, oh, now we know what we can talk about for May, so yeah, class jobs, saying things together like yammer, which is a fun word to say too. But that like that, Carrie noted, I love that she gave us yammer to say, like is that like bummer in American English, do you think, Yannick?
No, it's,
Felt
oh,
like
what a
it.
pity. Oh, what a
Yeah,
pity.
yeah. Okay,
What a
that's
shame. What a pity. Yeah. Yeah.
bummer.
Jammer.
Yeah, at
Yeah.
least in my generation of the
Yeah.
US.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jammer. Yeah.
Yeah. Alicia notes using names of the people, and Michelle noted asking about the pets' names. So it wasn't merely just finding out about a pet. It was, oh, and the name of your pet, and then using that pet's name as part of the talk that proceeded from that. So asking another student about, what was the cat's name, or who is Borat, or something like, remembering who had what pet and what their name was. So that was fun. Leah noted she talked about herself. Yeah, I think it makes it approachable when you are treating yourself as part of, like, oh, my eyes are bad. Like it opens up a safe space to be like, oh, maybe not everything is perfect here. Maybe even my teacher has some needs, and it humanizes it. Yeah. Cecile noted celebrations with applause. Yes. Michelle, bringing us all together in pity. Yes. Yeah, that, oh man, that didn't work out, or somebody doesn't have a dog. Oh, yammer. Yeah. Yeah. Other thoughts about community? I'll look in the chat, or if anybody wants to come on microphone, that's okay too.
Yeah, I would like to say something. Singing. The singing is so much. Yeah, once they know each other, they are singing very. Yeah, they like it. They
Yeah.
like it. I have a microphone and I walk in my class like, okay, let's give it. They must hear us at the end of how do you call it? The hang, not the corner, but where you walk in. I don't know the name in English, but the other side of the building. We have a big school, and they love to sing. They really do. So singing is really good
Yeah.
for community.
Yeah.
And I sing.
Yes.
Yeah, two or 3 times a lesson.
As Robert noted, that broader concept to these things are like a shared experience or a shared emotion. So
Yeah.
it's pity or celebration, or it could be anything, but sharing that experience together is building community in the classroom. So the other thing that you had talked to me, Unique, about, but that didn't come up today yet, was that some of the songs you create are about the students and things that they've shared about themselves. And so there's a song with pictures from maybe the homeland of that person, and that
Yeah.
information that the whole class knows about that person. And so they're singing about their classmates too, and not just the story content that you had in the lesson. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it was funny because the last picture that they saw, suddenly Soda, who is from Somalia, it was a picture of, well, I found it with FreePic, but it was a salesman in Mogadishu, and she lives in, well, she comes from Mogadishu, and she said, I know that man. He is selling clothing, and it was correct because I saw it and the information in FreePic. I saw that he was really selling that. So she was like, "Oh wow!" And then we talked about that man. Is he a nice man? And did you go there? And all these things. Yeah, it was lovely. It was really lovely. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah. Our third debriefing point then is communicative purpose or purposes. What did you notice that they were doing with the language besides just learning language? What this has, if you know Bill Van Patten's work, he talks about this kind of thing a lot. There are a variety of ways that could be. Alicia noted learning more about each other. Yes, knowing about each other's names, each other's pets' names. Yeah. What else? I see Sanae. Oh, not put your hand down. Did you maybe? Let's go to Leah.
I really liked the variety of vocabulary she did because I feel like I've seen a lot of like introductory CI lessons and it's, man, woman, child, and that's the whole lesson. I really liked the variety. It wasn't just like I would like there was a lot of functional things like sleep, look, smile, in addition to like emotions and um like just the basic this that kind of stuff. I think that was so helpful because I feel like especially if you're brand new, you need a lot of functional words and the variety is so helpful.
Yeah, she's thinking perhaps practically of the need of her students that are in a second language environment. So they need as much practical immediate language as possible. So there's kind of an out of the classroom thing going on with some of that too, I think. Yeah, and Carrie noted that too, but the variety of exposure to really meaningful words and phrases. I note too, two big ones stood out to me here, and one was that story. So imagining together, while I think that Janique had a prepared story, she was inviting students slowly, a bit at a time, through the use of Dutch to think about like, what do we see in this picture? And then imagining from the perspective of the dog at the end is like you could start to see where this is building. This is not just a flashcard image. This is a image used to expand into a story that we're all imagining together. And then that already noted, but learning about each other through the things that were happening there, comparing each other's pet names and things. Yeah. Robert also noted that she conducted class business in the target language, that procedural talk that we do as teachers, eliciting volunteers for class jobs was done through the use of Dutch, and that is another communicative purpose. And let me think. And then too, if there are just, I can open this up to just general questions and answers. If you had something that you're really curious, how does Janique do this, or how might she advise on a particular thing? We have a few minutes. I'm going to close at 1:30, but we have about 3 minutes. Carrie, what do you have?
Well, this isn't fully a question. I just wanted to say, as a student, that class job thing, I actually got lost. So no fault. I mean, everybody else got it, right? It's me and my brain, and I had a moment of distraction. But I think my takeaway from that is like, oh, when it's not comprehensible, that's when kids are checking out. That's when they're falling asleep. That's when because, well, now I'm lost. I'm just going to give up, right? Like it took a lot within me to hang in there, even though I wasn't understanding it. Right. And I know that that's the beauty of, why in CI, that's the beauty of being a student in another language. So we develop that compassion for our students when they're dealing with. But anyway, that was an interesting thing to experience as part of it. Not really a Q&A. Sorry.
No, yeah, that makes sense too. And I think there were different levels of comprehension necessary at different points in the lesson. Enough to hang in there and kind of know what was going on next was enough for certain aspects of it. And some were like really crystal clear word for word. So yeah. I see. Is it Neve? I think you're still muted. There you go.
Yeah, sorry, it is me. Oh, sorry about that. I had just two questions to ask. One was, you were writing the vocabulary up on the board, which was very useful, but do you ask then your students who are literate to write that down or note that down, or at the end of the class, is there some level that they have to write that in their own journals? And then my second point was, it was actually leading on to the point about the range of vocabulary that you brought in this lesson, but how do you decide when you're planning your lesson on sort of what areas, what structures of sentences that you would like to bring in for that lesson? Thank you.
The first, wait, because my English is not so good. So the first question was, how did I,
The
what
the
they,
writing on
yes,
the
yes,
blackboard when you made the
yes.
notes.
I always, when my board is full, when it's plenty, I say, now take your phone and make a picture. And they have to write it in their notebook and show me the day after. Because some of my students write very, very, very slowly. And it would take so much time before they have been writing everything. So I always say, please don't write, listen, and let's make the story together. Listen, I write, and then I give them time to take a notebook. Also, sometimes I make the picture myself and I put it in the website. You will have the QR code to the website so that you can see how things, how it looks. So that's,
So
and then the second,
before wiping off the whiteboard, you get
yes,
them to take the photograph, or do you keep
yes,
all the vocabulary on the board for the entire
yes,
length of the
yes,
class?
yes. Well, depends. If there's
A lot.
have place enough, then I say, okay, take a picture now so that I can continue. But most of the time I have place enough to write everything. And then I let them make a picture of what I wrote, and they have to write it in their notebook. And they can write at their own pace. They don't feel like stressed, because otherwise when I say now write, some people are really stressed because they cannot write correctly or not write quickly. And it's not nice for them when they have to look like, please, just a minute. Yeah, no, I don't want to push anyone or to feel bad. But when they have the time to make a picture, that doesn't take a long time. Just take a picture of the board and then write it in your copybook. And then they can do it at their own pace. And it's so much less stress than I did before. Before I always said, okay, now write, and then half of the waiting, they started talking, or they said, oh, you must write quicker. And then the other half was like stressed because they did not have enough time, and now everyone has time. They do it at their own pace. And what about the things that how I choose? I always start from high frequency words, like how do you call it, the Sweet 16? For me, that's my Bible, my kind of Bible.
Yeah.
I have a poster, well, I have 20 of them, and I have a poster, a big poster hanging in my classroom. People who have been to Agen have seen that poster. Sana, you were in my classroom, it was hanging there. So, and I always try to find a little story or a little picture or whatever but actually those are, well, we call them the high frequency words. Why? Because they are.
Yeah.
So they are, whatever story you tell, you will always come to these words. So I like to use the stories of themselves. I like to use the folk tales of their own culture, and I swing from one culture to another. I like to talk about them. I like to do art talk. I live in Ghent, and the school is in the old part of Ghent. We have art wherever I have to go out of my class, and next to the water there's already a statue who is telling legend of the Charles the Emperor who lived in Ghent. And the statue, it's all in the statue. So I can point and I can say, and while I tell the story, I point to the statue. And they love it because they pass there, they have a lot of questions about it. So
Janique, I'm
that's,
going to pause you because there's one more person with a question and I don't want to leave her without getting to ask. But
yes.
that'll be our last one. Aliano or
Aliona.
Aliano?
Aliona.
Aliona, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Hi. So my question really, I should ask the first question first, a little question first. Do you teach your students, do you ever teach academic concepts to your students, or is it mostly survival and kind of touristy language? Okay, so you don't teach academics, then do you teach them job-related vocabulary and concepts? Okay, so when you do those, I'm just trying to gauge and see, because we know that this is absolutely wonderful and you're doing an amazing job teaching the survival language, something more hands-on-ish. Concepts are, lower cognitively, less demanding cognitively, right? Versus us like trying to teach photosynthesis, or some of the like medical things if they decide to work in a hospital, just an example. So when you do job related, a little bit more complex concepts, do you carry on with this kind of approach, or do you resort to translations ever?
We work together. Sorry, I because my internet is not the same rate. We work together with Bureau for Work, and they give the practice. Like people who want to go for a job, they have like 18 hours a week, and they have 9 hours Dutch. Then they have, well, depending of what they need, they also have, how do you say, counting and calculating all these things. And then they have to learn to work with the machinery. So it's practice. This is really practice. It's like there are like 4 or 5 teachers in such a group.
Okay.
And if I can add an idea there, because I think Aliona is thinking of maybe, at least in the US classroom context, we might have many different kinds of language backgrounds of children in school that are expected to immediately get into their school content. And I think some of the same strategies work for that, where if you had an image and you were teaching photosynthesis, have that image and breaking it down into the parts, checking in with comprehension moment by moment. So there's one concept, and then there's a check of their understanding, and then there's an additional concept. So I think while the content would be different, if they had some of the basic language, they could do that. The other issue of is it okay to use translations? Yes, if you have the resource to do that. If you don't, though, we're stuck without it. And so especially here in the US where I am, we have a lot of Spanish speaking multilingual learners in K through 12 schools, but then there'll be someone from Somalia and from Nepal and from a remote group in Burma, from Myanmar, who doesn't have a translation tool that will work. And so to be able to reach all of the students that might appear in the classroom, we want to be able to have really robust tools. So yeah, resources from their first language, that like students have a right and a resource in their home languages, whatever languages they know, they are something to respect and encourage. But there are often cases where we don't have the teacher doesn't have the resource in that way. So I think this is our goal with this opportunity. So I do want to close us up, though. Janique, do you have one last thought? And then
Yes,
we'll
I have
stop?
one last thing.
Okay.
What I also do each day is a day talk. I love that. It's like the calendar, but it's also for the clock. How late is the sun rise? How late does the sun go under? So that's the clock. But also what happened in history on this day. And when you're teaching young people, this could be, well, it could be great also for them, because then you could even, I don't know, maybe with your colleague who is teaching history or geography, you could work together and make the language around this history or around this item comprehensible. Because there's a lot to tell, like today here in Belgium, it's King's Day, it's the Day of the King. So yesterday was my day talk about the King's Day, who is the king, and what are the parts in Belgium, what are the languages in Belgium. Belgium is very complicated. That can be also interesting, and that's what I also do every day. I start with a date talk. That can be really, yeah, they love it because they want to learn more.
Yeah. Well, thank you again so much, Janique, for leading us in a lesson, for you all who participated as students and as observers, for the comments and the debriefing and the questions that you asked. So I will post this as it's noted on YouTube, and if I can figure it out in Zoom, I will send that link through those who had registered. And if not, look for it in the same social media site that you learned about this event. So thank you.
I will also share the lesson with you through
Terrific.
Diana.
Great. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.